us at Eddie B Productions to capture, create, and celebrate all of your greatest moments. Let us turn your joy into memories that will last forever. As we remember our beloved Eddie Blick Jr., the very reason we do it all, we aim to put a smile on your face and also your heart. Whether a birthday party, wedding planning, organizing an event, or photography, we can service all your needs. You can follow us on Instagram at Eddie B Productions, email us at EddieB_Productions93@outlook.com, or call us at 410-303-0101 for all your event planning, decoration, fun, and photography needs. We look forward to working with you.
All right. Okay. So are we ready? We ready? We ready? Well, hello. Today is Thursday, and this is another episode of your the power of your story. Listen, I am so discombobulated, y'all. So this has been a long week. Today is Thursday. I have been dealing with some things just like the whole world, but I am excited. I'm gonna get it together in a minute, y'all. So today is Thursday. And this is another episode of The Power of Your Story. And I am your host, LaQuita Parks, CEO and founder of T.R.I.V.I. Publishing. And T.R.I.V.I means pain, progress, victory. Because I believe without pain, there is no progress. And without progress, there can be no victory. So I help people take their stories from a thought to a realization. And I am so excited to have a special guest with me today. And I listen, this woman is absolutely phenomenal. She is so funny too. When I tell you, it was a pleasure working with this woman and hearing her story. So listen, I don't know about you, but I got my tissue. I got my tissue right here ready because this lady will make you laugh and she will make you cry because her story is so amazing, just like her. And so without further ado, I am going to welcome Miss Linda Kornegay to the room. So how are you, Linda?
I am wonderful, LaQuita. Thank you so very much for this opportunity. Wow. Mm.
So how have you been? How have you been?
I have been on a roller coaster, up and down, moving this way, that way, not sure where I'm going, but holding on fast because wherever it goes, I'm going to tell my story, the love story that you allow me to work it out on your website. You're the awesome publisher. So again, I'm holding on, even though it's daddy tears, a daughter search. But let me tell you, it's exciting. It's a love story. And LaQuita is so awesome to tell you in advance. You may cry, you may laugh, but just let go and let your feelings be your feelings. No one can control those feelings but you. Have fun with it.
Listen, you know what? And I 100% agree. Before we dive into daddy tears, tell us about you. Tell us where you're from, and tell us about Linda.
Well, I am Linda P. Kornegay. I am the only daughter of my mother, Helen, and I am the daughter of three fathers. Phenomenal. Three fathers. Yes, I have two stepfathers, and I have a biological father. And I am the sister of three brothers. Excuse
Wow.
me. My family
Wow.
has enlarged. Correction. I am the sister of five brothers. I am the sister of five sisters. I never had sisters before. And I am the daughter of another mother by way of Daddy Joel. I am the phenomena and the one and only wife of my husband, Roderick. And I'm the proud mother of two handsome sons and a daughter in law. She is all mine. And a phenomenal, fun, feel exciting grandson. He's only 8, and we're still doing things greatly. You know what? Just the other day, he cut the grass all by himself because he wanted to make a football field his way in the front lawn. Did he do it? Yes, he did.
What?
I can tell you more about me, but that's enough for now, I think.
Wait a minute. So he wait a minute. He cut the lawn because in the shape of a football.
No, 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 no. He was
Okay.
cut. He, of course, my husband was cutting the grass,
Mm-hmm.
and so he had a vision that he wanted to cut the grass so that he can draw the football field. Get the lines, the markers, and all that. Honey, I had to get out there and spray paint with the green paint. He had the gold paint, and you know what? We're gonna get some more paint, the white paint, so we can do the football. The field is gonna be right.
Okay.
He loves football.
Wait, you know what? One thing I love about
Creativity.
you, I love your energy. From day one, I love your energy and I love your honesty. And you know what? It is so refreshing because sometimes we talk to people and they give you a facade of what they think you want to see or what they think you want to hear. But I absolutely love your energy. It is hilarious. And listen, y'all. So okay, I published this book. We're gonna get to that book in a minute. But talking to this woman, this woman is a salesperson. Okay, as my grandma would say, she could sell you the black and pepper. Okay, now y'all know pepper already got black in it, but Linda can sell you some black and pepper. I'm on the phone with this lady in the one morning. It had to be about 8 o'clock. I know it's before 9 o'clock. And you were walking where Walmart,
Walmart.
and I'm on the phone with her, and I'm telling you, in less than 5 minutes, she even talked to somebody and was like, "Hey, would you like to hear a love story?" Hilarious! I absolutely love it. I was like, "Okay, this woman can sell the black and some pepper." And people purchase a book because of the personality, and I like that because I tell people all the time, you have to talk to people about your book. Talk to people about your book. That's what you have to do. You can't expect it to sell itself if nobody knows about it. So I am so glad that you're here, Linda. And Daddy Tears, here's my book, Daddy Tears, A Daughter's Search. Linda, I'm going to read the back of this book, read the back cover, and then we're going to talk about some things. With much prayer to God, Linda P. Kornegay shares her love, hurt, determination, pain, and tears as she journeys through a 40-year search for her biological father. Did you guys hear that? 40-year, not 4 years, not 4 months, 40 years. While searching, a family tree of love blossomed, one she treasures deeply. Along the way, Linda shed many daddy tears. The unknown father denied her twice. Then one Friday afternoon, daddy and daughter finally connected. God orchestrated this love connection. Linda's biological father said, "Now that you have found me, we shall never be apart." This daughter's journey ends with joy and the greatest gift of all, love. Wow. You know, Linda, I always tell people that it is very important for you to share your story. And we've had this conversation a dozen times. There's always somebody waiting on the other side of your story so they can heal from their story. So I want you to don't tell the book, because listen, you're gonna have to buy the book. Okay, we're not here to tell you the story. We're here to tell you some pieces of the story. We're here to just, to talk about Linda and some things that she's gone through. But we're not gonna tell you this book. You're gonna have to buy the book, okay? And she's gonna tell you how to get the book shortly. Okay. So Linda, what made you decide, first of all, what made you decide that you wanted to write a book about your experiences with trying to find your biological father?
Well, 10 years ago, God allowed me to meet my biological father for the first time in my life. It was exciting, exhilarating, it was overwhelming, yet I needed to expound on what I was feeling. So late at night, I would get up and go to the office and just start typing. And I was typing out my feelings and expressing my feelings. Even though I have family members that I can talk to, that's wonderful. But it was not enough because I had to express myself even more. And I'm so glad that I did. But writing allowed me to do that. And in doing so, um, I had the audacity to read to my mother-in-law, who's a phenomenal woman of God, and she knows me. And so I read my words of expression to her, and she said, "You need to publish this because you can help a lot of people." And I said, "No, this is a lot of me." She said, "Exactly. You do like helping people, right?" I do. So that's how Daddy Tears um, was created.
Mm. Wow, wow. Well, you know what? I'm so glad that she encouraged you to publish your story, because now there are a world of people who have experienced what you've experienced. And here's the flip side. They may never find their dad. You found yours. But it was a journey. So tell us a little bit about how you started the search. In 40 years, right? 40 years. 40 years. Wow. Talk about perseverance and endurance. And I know you went through all those things. So how did you start the search? How did it start to say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna start looking?
Okay, so let me explain. Um, 10 years old, that's when I found out that my father was not my father. And I
Mhm.
found out that my biological father later on was my father. My mother told me about him at that time. But through the process, my search began by asking questions, at 10 years old. And the
Mm.
first question went to my mom. And so that's the beginning of my search because my family, they decided you started that young. That constitute part of your search. And
Mhm.
then as I got older, into high school, and of course, before I got to high school, I talked to family members and asking them, did they know my father? And and then in high school, I will go to the library during what's the class we're calling it? Study hall. I
Mhm.
would go into the library, and the best way that I knew how, trying to find out how can I find my biological father.
Wow, in high
And
school.
that's what I was doing during study hall, except for when I was thinking of another man.
Mm. All
Okay.
right. Okay, I got you. We'll
A
talk
love
about
story. I'm
that in a
telling you,
minute.
it's in the book
Yes.
too. All
Yes.
right.
Yeah, I got to get this book because this is a love story.
And from high school, um, I began to enjoy life even more. And then we had our first son. And in having him, I began to think of the fact that I did not know the history of my biological father. And if
Mhm.
it's possible to know that history, I wanted to know the history. So that's
Mhm.
when the search really deepened for me even more.
So once so you were in high school and you started asking questions, and it's amazing how how when things happen and we start opening that Pandora's box. You know, it's basically you're asking questions. Did you find that when you were asking questions that people were not as open to give you the answers that you were seeking?
Um, my family did not know the answer because they did not know him at all. My mother, of course, she knew him, but she had told me all that she knew to tell me about him
Hmm.
because their love story, if you will, was short-lived. But she
Right.
told me what she knew. And as far as my grandparents, my uncles, and my aunts, yeah, I asked questions. And of course, they didn't know him either. So they were nice to me. However, they were very, very concerned because mind you, I'm a young child, I'm a young teenager, I'm a young adult, but mostly a young child. I was just consumed with trying to find this man I knew nothing about,
Mhm.
but he
Mhm.
had such an important impact in my life at such a young age.
So, did you feel empty? Did you feel like once you found out that your father, the man that you grew up from the age of from the baby to 10 was not your biological father, how did you feel? Did you feel like you had been lied to or deceived? How did you feel?
I was devastated. I was devastated because he was my father.
Mm-hmm.
And he is my father,
Yes.
was my father. Um,
It's okay.
I was just shocked.
Yeah.
I was, he was my father. How
Yeah.
could he not be? He was my brother's father.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I didn't, at that time, I don't think I was angry
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't feel angry. I
Mm-hmm.
was just a little kid that was just, just found out this information. However, I have an awesome mother.
Yes.
I didn't stay in that darkness for a very long time because we are a family of love.
Mm-hmm.
My three brothers and I, my mother, we went on, we lived our life. And
Mm-hmm.
was it a missing void? Not during my childhood per se.
Yeah.
I miss my dad, not knowing my dad, but bottom line, I was good because I had life and
Yeah.
I live life. I enjoy life. I have family and friends, and I was good.
Good. So as you got older,
Yeah.
you started the search. Did you start the search out of curiosity, or did you start the search out of there is a void, there's something missing? I want to know more about that side. And the reason I asked that question is because even though I knew my dad's side of the family, even though I knew them, I never felt a part of them because
Mhm.
my dad didn't raise us. My dad was in the military and he was doing his thing. And we have a relationship and we can talk openly about that now. But I never felt like a part of the family, a part of, and I would say that side of the family.
Mhm.
And when I would go around and we would go around the family, it was always kind of felt funny. And so when you were searching, when you started the search as you got older, was it because, you know what, I want to know that side of my family, I want to know about that history, because that's your history?
Um, as far as the my family, my biological father, um, I only thought about my dad.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
only thought about my dad. I really just wanted to find him. In thinking about him, though, being a wife, being a mother, I wanted to cause no drama at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
Meaning, I just wanted him to be alive and healthy. And if it is that we could make a connection, wonderful. But I was not trying to cause any drama at all.
Hmm.
Um, I was okay until I had my first son
Hmm.
and began to just ponder over that family history and
Hmm.
then the medical portion of the history.
Yeah.
But it was just, I wanted to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, there was a void, but I wanted to know. But I also knew it would be okay because I've been okay. But then, nah, deep down, I
You
wanted
wanted
to
to
know.
know? Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to know
Something that was kind of nagging at you.
constantly,
Yeah,
constantly.
yeah. So how did you start? So how did you start the search? Did you? Because I know people have asked you this question. How many? How I know they have. So how did you start? Did you? Who did you call? So I'm asking, how did you start the search when
Okay.
you got older and after you had your son and you reignited the physical search? We're gonna start digging. How did you do that?
Now, long, long time ago, find people fast. You remember that?
Yes.
Find people fast. That's what I did. And then there was a search. That's what I started doing.
Okay.
And then we had those great thick books called the white pages and yellow pages.
What's
Oh,
that?
yes, honey. That
Y'all,
alphabet
so
that
the
his
kid,
name started with.
the kids don't know what that's about. They don't, you guys don't know what the yellow pages are. It was a phone book about this big, this thick, and it had everybody's name, number in there. No
That's right.
email. We
That's
didn't
right.
have email addresses back
That's
then,
right.
y'all.
That's right. And so the last name that his letter started with, I was on it. Guess
Wow.
what? I didn't just start with or stay within the state that I was living in. I had the audacity to call from other states because I heard that he had been in that particular state. Well,
Wow.
hello. I
Wow.
got on the phone. I'm calling people, making long distance calls. No free, not the internet
Right.
then.
Right. It wasn't
Mm-mm.
free then.
It
We
was
used
a
to have to pay
bill.
for long distance.
It
You
was a
sure
bill.
did.
It was a bill. So I
Hmm.
started find people fast and search. That's what I use. And then I was writing letters to every name that I found in the white pages with that last name, with that same name. I would send it off. Send it off.
How many letters do you think you've written? Just a guesstimation. How many
I would
out of
say
those years?
maybe guess it maybe 20, maybe 20, um maybe 20. And I knew I sent some a couple to Florida, Missouri, um, Georgia. Um, those three stand out for
To
sure.
the to
I
the
remember
names that
those
to the names to just
those
say, okay, you
states.
know what? Wow, wow.
Mhm.
So I know you had to have some support in this search. So tell us about, because you talk about a love story, and there's a double love story. Well, actually, I'm going to say a triple love story, because we can't ignore the ultimate love. We can't ignore Christ. So that's a part of the love story too. But tell us about this other love story that's got you grinning like a teenager all the time, y'all, grinning like a teenager. I'm just saying. So
Oh
tell us about
wow,
the support, because I know you had to have support, because it's a lot. It's a lot.
it's
The
a lot.
emotions take over sometimes. So how was the support, your support circle?
From the first time that we got married in 1981, and then there was a discussion about having children. In that discussion, I mentioned, as a matter of fact, we would be together if we ever have kids, meaning not here, not there, together to raise the children. And I know that we have no control over what may happen, but I had to plant that seed and let him know I'm in it. If we're going
Mm,
to have children, because I know the hurt of feeling um, unwanted. I know the hurt of not having a father. I know the hurt of saying or hearing, "You're not mine." I know the hurt of saying, "Well, you got to go because your daddy's going to come and daddy not coming." You
mm,
know, I know
mm,
that hurt.
mm,
So from the beginning of our marriage, we had that conversation. And so we were in agreement. We weren't going anywhere.
mhm,
Okay. So my husband of 41 years has been so passionate with me. He has been such an encourager. And I will tell you, I actually told him, and no, get this, ladies and men, do not get it twisted. I said to my husband once, if, and I knew I had a daddy, okay, because I had to be born, okay. I
right.
know that. But if I had a daddy, I would want my father to be just like you.
Mhm,
Because my husband is so compassionate. He's fun. He's so rich in love. And what child would not want that?
mhm,
What woman would not want that?
right.
She can't have him. He's mine.
Yeah. You heard that, ladies. You know what? I love that. And as you're sitting here talking, and the name of your book, Daddy Tears, A Daughter Search, it can actually mean everything you just said. It can be for a daughter who knows who her daddy is, who knows her biological dad, but he's not there. He's absentee. He may not be there for reasons that he can't help. He may be incarcerated, or he may be in the military, but he's not there. And those tears could also be for that daddy they know that's there, but he does not want to be there.
Want to be
He
there.
doesn't want to connect. He doesn't want to. And that's a lot. It's a lot. And I went through a divorce, and I'm so glad you said that, because there are a lot of people listening who need to hear that. And I'm going to say this: when you choose, ladies, when you're teenagers and you're young adults, and you start to date and you start to get connected, connect to people that you want to spend a lifetime with, and have those conversations.
Hmm.
I did a show the other day about relationships and why they don't work. And I said communication.
Communication.
Communication. I said, that's my story and I'm
It's
sticking
key.
to it. And there were people who's like, well, no, I don't think communication. And as they kept talking, well, you gotta let people know how you want. And I kept saying, is that not communication? So what you did was you and Rod sat down and you guys had a conversation of expectation. This is my expectation. I'm sure he had his expectations too. And the thing was, okay, can you meet my expectations? Can we meet each other's expectations? So you have men who are going out and they're having these children and they have not had the conversation. The women have not had the conversation. The men haven't had the conversation. And it's not always the man. Sometimes the
That's right.
woman could be the reason. And so I'm not blaming everything on the man, but I love this because I see myself in this. I remember when I was a little girl, Linda, and I had surgery, and I wanted, I kept asking my dad, well, this man shows up in this uniform, and I cried because I didn't know who he was. I didn't want him there. And it was my biological father, but I was calling the man that my mother had been seeing. I was calling him my dad. That's who I was wanting. I wasn't wanting this man who was my father. And so he came and I did not know him. Why didn't I know him? I should have known him. And whose responsibility is that? So I love the book. I love this Daddy Tears because not only is it your story and your journey, it's also a lesson in here.
Hmm.
Several lessons. And what I like about it is, so let's fast forward. You started the search. You had the support. I know Rod was there with you every step of the way, and your family and your mother. I love and listen, y'all got to buy the book. You're gonna have to buy the book, okay? We're gonna tell you where you can get it in a minute, but you have to buy the book. But I love the relationship you have with your mother. And your mother was like, "Hey, Linda, you had her blessing." And
Hmm.
so tell us about that. How was that when you asked the questions and she made it okay for you? Because sometimes parents, mothers can be holding some animal, especially those dads who are not there and they can be there. They just don't want to be there. Because there are some of y'all that don't want to be with the mama. So y'all leave and forget about the babies. And there are some mamas out there that's acting a fool and the
Hmm.
daddies want to be a part of the lives, but because they don't want you, you don't want them to have the children. That's not right. Mm-mm-mm, not right. But Linda, how was it with your mom? How was that conversation and the love that you got from her and the encouragement through the process? 40 years is a long time. You were committed for 40 years. That's a long time. Long time.
um, my mom, when I was, give or say, 10, and I do not remember things exactly, but using my imagination, and and I do remember this. My mother loved us as children, and she did um, coddle us, if you will.
Hmm.
And she talked with us. And of course, there were some things that we did not talk about because you're not grown. Sit down
Hmm.
somewhere. But
Hmm.
this time, my mother, she took time and she answered the question to the very best of her ability so that I could understand as a 10-year-old. And she
Hmm.
was comforting. So, fast forward, I really stopped talking about my dad so much with her. Fast forward, I really stopped talking about my dad with her. Fast forward, I really stopped talking about my dad with my mom.
Hmm. Hmm.
Why? Because my mother, she wrote a letter to the commanding officer letting him know that my dad is a father. However, my dad denied me. I get it. Young man, not ready for responsibility, but he denied on that letter. And then there was the letter, I'm coming, because you say she looks like me. I'm coming. He never came.
Hmm.
But I get it. I get it. But my mother, hey, she wanted him to come. She wanted some support from him. She wanted
Hmm.
some encouragement from him. He cared about her all those times that they went out.
Hmm.
And you know where they went out when you got the
Hmm.
book.
You were
Okay.
about the book, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So fast forward, my mother was hurt. disappointed, but it did
Absolutely.
not stop her, honey. She
Mm-hmm.
went on about her business. She is a phenomenal mother. She provided for us. She did what she needed to do. And she let us know as children that we do not have to wait on anybody to do anything for us.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you need to do for yourself. Get it done.
I
Have
love
your
it.
own.
I love it.
Now, fast forward, I was not talking to my mother so much about my daddy. But then about 25, 26, 27, maybe, I'm not quite sure, I began to ask questions again. And so she sent the letters to me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And in reading those letters, I found out some other information. So I pursued to write letters from that. Fast forward, my mom, this is years out. I'm now sensational 61.
You're
But
beautiful, 61. Listen, I'm sorry. And I was hoping you would say it because I didn't want to call it out. But I was hoping that you would say how old you were because I'm looking at you and I'm like, this woman does not look 61. And if you didn't say it, I was going to bust it out and tell them how old you were. But the energy, you do not look 61 because,
thank
you are beautiful, beautiful,
thank you.
beautiful. So I
Thank
just
you,
want to say
Lord.
that.
Thank you, Lord. But my mom in a conversation maybe 8 years ago. This is after I had found my biological, after God allowed me to find my biological father. My mother shared with me, I didn't know you were still looking for him. I thought you was done. I thought it was over because I no longer talked about it with her because I did not want to hurt my mother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She wasn't stuck on him. She had her own love life. She was good. She was expounding in what she needed to expound in. Phenomenal woman. Um, but I know sometimes you have to do things on your own. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And my mother, after she found out that I was looking for him again, after she found out, you don't know this part, after she found out where he was and that he could not come to me, he was going to come to North Carolina soon. I met him, talked with him for the first time by way of phone. That's why I say I met him by way of phone. And he was going to come. And in July. It's February.
Mm.
God had just allowed me to find this man. Oh my goodness, I'm crying. I want to see him. My mama, she helped me to go see him
Hmm.
financially,
Wow. Wow. Now I
along with
didn't
my
know that.
husband.
Mhm.
But my mom said, "I want you to see him. Go
Mhm.
ahead and go see him." So we went to
Wow.
see him for the first time in April.
Wow.
My mother was still helping me, and
Wow.
she's still helping me to this day.
Wow.
I love you, mommy.
Wow. So that is beautiful. So take us to the day that you got that phone call. The phone call that you mentioned. Take us to that Friday afternoon and the phone rang. So set the scene. What were you doing? Do you remember? And I know you remember exactly what you were doing, exactly where you were. Probably remember exactly what you had on. So take us, hey, I remember
Well,
exactly where I was. So tell us, set the
well,
scene for us.
we
What
had
kind of
just
day were
went
you
to.
having? What kind of day were you having?
It was a fantastic day. I was off work Friday with my honey. We was riding around, and we had just left the hospital for visiting one of our dear. I would say that she's like a mother from the church that we go to. We
Mhm.
went to see her and left her at Rex Hospital, and then we said, "Well, we're gonna go." And we went to Cary to a rehab center and to visit one of my coworkers and who was in the rehab. And she and her husband were there, and so we went to visit and we laughed and so what. And then it was time to go. In the process of leaving, there was this man, he was in a wheelchair and he was trying to go through the doors. He couldn't get the doors open. So we helped. I was in the front of him, my husband was in the back of him. Meanwhile, fast forward, rewind, I should say, I had written letters February the 10th. I had written a letter and mailed it to um, to the Air Force military, who
Mhm.
was going to forward the letters to my biological father. And so, and I was hoping that he might will call me, you know, that was my desire, that he might will call me before my birthday, which is February the 15th. And I am accepting gifts for everyone that hear this, okay? All right. But
Listen, happy
nevertheless,
birthday, Linda.
in the midst of helping this gentleman in the wheelchair, the phone rang. I didn't recognize the call. I didn't recognize the number. I didn't recognize it. I'm focused because I work in the medical field. So I'm trying to help. Nevertheless, I answered the call. Hello. And the caller says, hello, may I speak with Linda? I said, this is Linda. And he said, this is Joel. And I said, this is who? He said, this is Joel. I said, this is who? He said, this is Joel. Um, and and he said his full name. I'm like, mm. I and then it dawned on me, we got this man in this chair. And I said, may I call you back? My husband said, what? Don't call him back. You've been looking for him all this time. Talk to him now. I hung up the phone. But you know
Wow.
what? It probably got him thinking, wow,
Mm.
she's been looking for me all this time and she's not going to talk to me.
She can wait. You can wait. You're not that important. This is important right here. Wow.
But he was. And honey, we walked down that long hallway in that facility. And when we got outside that door, there's more details in the book when you get it. Honey, I grabbed that man of mine named Rod. I thank you, God, for my man named Rod. Oh, he's so fine. Thank you, Jesus. Honey, I hugged him. I kissed on him. I cried on him. And I thank God for him because God allowed it for Rod to be with me during this particular time. I was not alone. Can you imagine if I was driving?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine what could have
Yeah.
happened?
Right.
But I hugged and loved on Rod so much so that I just crushed his shades, his eyeglasses that was in his pocket. I crushed them. But anyway, so we got into the car, called back, and we carried on the conversation. And he continued to tell me, started to tell me, you know, you've been looking for me for a very long time. And he said most people would have given up over 2 years. And I said, I wanted to find you, and I did. I did. And so he began to share some things with me, such as the military. Sometimes when you're hearing conversation, and you do not have to be in the military, this is just life.
Mm-hmm.
Honey, that child is not yours. That baby mama, that's not your baby. It's not your baby.
Mm-hmm.
Peer pressure. Allow him not to respond to the letters or to come to see me when I was a little baby.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. But guess what? He loved me. I love him. Daddy Joel and I, we made a great connection. And not only with Daddy Joel, but his wonderful family. And I'm so grateful and thankful for. And we are a big extended family. And it's a lot of getting to know you still.
Mm-hmm.
But I thank God we are getting to know each other.
Wow. Wow. So Daddy Joel passed away, right? He's not here any longer.
Daddy Joel, Daddy Joel passed away. Daddy Joe is my other dad.
Mm-hmm.
He is still living and he has dementia right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But guess what? He still knows me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, dementia will take your mind and take your memories. So, um, for those that have dementia in your family, you know, wrap your loving arms, go visit, do what you have to do, and just indulge in the conversation that may be repeated. Just enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
But Daddy Joe is my father, who's happily married to my mother now.
Yeah. So Joel, how long did you get to, how long did you get to spend with him before he passed away?
Daddy Joel and I had the pleasure of spending 1,154 days together, 3 years, 3 months, and two and a half. Let's see, 1,154 days, right? And
Mhm.
that's 3 years, 2 months and a half
Wow.
by
Wow.
way of phone, airways,
And so how many
at
times
our various
did you
homes.
actually in during those 3 years, how many times did you have to get to see him face to face? Did you get to touch him, hug him?
Wait a minute. What was that question?
How many times did you actually get to see him face to face, to touch him, to hug him? I know you went to visit him.
How many times? Let me tell you, the first thing that I did when I first met him for the very first time, and we was riding in this car, I was in the back seat. I touched the back of his ear, and he was like, but I touched his ear, and then I I just leaned on him. I held his hand some. Um, I don't know how many times. It was not enough
Mhm. Mhm.
times. I know that I went to visit him 8 times,
Mhm.
and to his home,
Mhm.
and but to actually hug on him, I do not know. It was
Yeah,
not
no, I
enough.
mean, I meant how many times did you actually get a chance to go and visit him, to
Okay,
to
that would
to
have been eight
see him, to
times.
touch him? That's good. I love that. So you know what, Linda? I see the, it was like, and I'm, as you're talking, I'm imagining that I'm riding in the car, and you touch and you feel. It's like, okay, is this real? What's going on here? Is this real?
Mhm.
You know, and then to kind of look and put your hand next to his hand, and do our hands look alike, our features look alike, am I the complexion? And I'm sure it started to answer all those questions, where you're like, okay, you know what, I was wondering. And there are a lot of people who wonder, well, I was wondering, who do I look like? I don't look like my mom. Do I look like my dad? What does my dad look like? Or do these features look? I remember my son, seeing my son as an adult, and seeing his feet. And I said to him the other day, I was like, you have great grandma's feet. Your feet look like great grandma's feet. And he was like, really? And interesting enough, it was like, wow, I got a feature that looks like my great grandmother's features. And so I can imagine, getting close and seeing yourself. Did you see yourself in him? The your features. Did you see yourself in him? And it was like, okay, wow. Because you didn't have pictures, because you didn't know him, so you didn't have pictures of him. Other
I
than
have
I know you had the you have to get the book.
one picture,
You have to see the picture in the book.
one picture
And
that I
so
cling to. Yes, one picture. Um, I look more like my mom,
you do.
and I
You do.
have the laughing eyes, I believe, like my dad maybe, and I have his smile maybe, but it's a mixture of both of them.
Now wait, what a laughing, you said laughing eyes?
Laughing eyes. Sometimes you can look in people's eyes and you can see sadness.
Yeah, 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 you can. You can.
Yeah, but he had laughing eyes, and in fact, one of my sons, unbeknownst to me, I call him laughing eyes.
Really?
Hmm.
Really? I like that. I've
Yes,
never heard that before.
yes, and I will also tell you, my mom told me that one of my sons reminded her so much like my dad. So I
Really?
would look at my son often,
Hmm.
and he would sometimes just look at me staring at him. I guess he was saying, "What is going on with my mommy now?" But my son, quite handsome. My other son, he's as handsome too. Uh, his features, we were trying to figure it out. Who was it that he really reminded us of? Different ones were saying, yes, he looks like Rod. Yes, he looks like me. Um, but when we saw a picture that Daddy Joel sent of his brother,
Hmm.
we said, that's our son.
Hmm. Hmm.
Wow.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Wow. And see, you know what? Finding your dad opened up a lot of doors that were closed, and unlocked a lot of things that were locked. Because it's kind of like doing that 40-year search. The door was there, you just couldn't get through it. You just
Right.
didn't have the key to get through it. And now you got the key and the door's wide open and you can go and it's like, oh, okay. So all of those feelings and all of those things is like, now this makes sense. This makes sense.
Mhm.
So you published the book, and you're selling the book. And so tell us about your experience with this book. How has your story helped people? Tell us some of the stories, or one or two of the stories that you've heard in the midst of this daddy tears, a daughter search journey that you're on.
Mhm. Um, One gentleman shared with me that his daughter, he last saw her when she was 2 years old. And then he was able to find her again at the age of 40 plus.
Mm,
And he said, because he read my book, he could understand now, maybe, how she may have felt
mm,
and how she feels, because there was a missing span there. Okay.
right.
And so he said, because I read your book, from this day forward, I will tell her every single day that I love her.
Mm,
Another
wow.
father, he was purchasing the book, and he says, my story, my daughter has a story similar to yours. He said, she's trying to find her father. Now, he just told me my daughter,
Right.
okay? But he is the adopted father.
Ah,
So he said, I've done what I can do, what I know to do to help her find her biological father. He said, maybe something in your book will help her.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So this father loved his daughter so much so, but yet he was hurting, okay?
mm,
But he loved her enough to go beyond, to buy this book, hoping, believing. And Lord, I thank you that a revelation is lit, that she may find her biological father. And when he reunite or unite with this young lady, oh, may the joys just overflow. And
mm,
I thank you, God. And I celebrate with the adopted father because he loved her enough to do this.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I also have heard women say, I didn't know my father. I wish I had known my father. I've also had heard of where people have reached out, usually women, have reached out trying to get the father to connect with the child.
Mm-hmm.
And the father said, yes, I'm coming, but he didn't come. I also have heard the story of a father who was not able to spend time with his child because of a mother situation and a father situation, but it had nothing to do with the child. But this father came to me after he purchased my book. And even where I was doing a conference, a convention, women's convention, and men are there. So he came to me, he said, because I heard what you said, to be a father from this day forward, I am moving from this state to where my child is.
Wow.
Wild is correct.
Wow. Wow. You know
Wild is
what?
correct. And he said, I will be in my child's life, even if he has to do it from afar, but he's going to the state where his child was. Now, that was huge.
Wow.
All
That
because
is.
of something that he heard or heard me read from my book. But I
Mm-hmm.
thank God because I had no idea. But the seed was planted there. And the seed was planted to go beyond what Linda was even feeling
Mm-hmm.
because people are out there hurting. Just as my mother in law has said, you just never know the lives that you are touching only because you're sharing part of your story. And in
Exactly.
telling your story, you don't have to tell everything.
That's right. That's right.
Tell something
You can't put
vital,
your
a
whole life in a
listener.
book. That's right. You cannot put your whole life in a book. This has been amazing. Linda, we're almost out of time, but before we go, what advice would you give to a daughter? So what advice would you give to a daughter who is searching for her father? And the testimonies you just gave were all men. They're men. So you recognize, you have to know that there is damage done when you are not there. God made it so mother and father, we have two parents, so that means that two people are responsible for care. Two people. So there's damage. And I know that there's situations and circumstances where both parents can't be there. I understand that. But just because you're not in the home does not mean that you cannot be a part of your child's life. Of course, we granted there's some safety issues there. So we're not talking about that.
Right.
That's not the norm.
No.
That's not the norm. But you have to know that you're doing damage. You're causing emotional damage. And some of this damage is hard to repair. So you don't, fix it before it gets broken. So what advice would you give to a daughter that's searching for her father, and what advice would you give to that father who has a child out there and he isn't interested in finding her? What advice would you give to those people? And
First and foremost,
we have just a few minutes left.
first and foremost, I would say, love yourself. Look into the mirror. You were created for glory. And God did a great thing when He created you. He used the vessel, your mother and your father, to create you. Love yourself first and foremost. First and foremost, do that. And then when it is that you are looking for and this is also for the little boys too, or young men, because I did have stories about them as well. And they're searching because they're hurting too. Okay. But love yourselves. And I would say, due diligence as far as looking as hard as you can, if that is your heart's desire, to find that missing person. And it may not be a father or a mother, it could be a grandmother, a grandfather, someone that really, really loved you,
Mhm.
or you just want to know them. Just don't give up.
Mm, mm.
Just don't give up. There are so many ways, ancestry.com and so many other ways that you can just find people. And of course, you got the social media now. There's so many ways that you can find. But the main thing is your mind, your heart. Just know that you were created for glory and that you are special and you are
Oh,
not a mistake. You are here for a purpose.
Linda. I love that. Gave me chills. You are here for a purpose. Absolutely. I love that. Love yourself first, because even when nobody else loves you, loving yourself takes you all the way from here to glory. I
That's right.
love that. So, Linda, how can people find this beautiful book, Daddy Tears? How can people find it? And how can they connect with you? What's the best way for people to reach you? So you have somebody that's listening to this interview and they want to talk to you, they want to connect with you. What's the best way for them to do that?
I'm old school, sensational 61. Hey, email me, daddytears at yahoo.com. That's my
Absolutely.
email.
And where can listen, and where can they find the book?
And my book, Daddy Tears, The Love Story, is found on Amazon.com.
That's right. Okay. And so if they want an autographed copy, they can email you and let you know that they want an autographed
Yes,
copy,
at
right?
daddytears at yahoo.com. That is correct. And also, I do have a website that is, it was launched today. And you can just read some more information about Daddy Tears and a little bit more about me as well. And it's daddytears.homesteadcloud.com.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
check it out. But the best way to contact me is daddytears at yahoo.com.
Wow. So, you know what I want to say, Linda, thank you so much for trusting me to help you take your story from a thought to a realization. I know we talked about this a lot, and I said there's going to be emotions. And I try to be very honest and very transparent with all of my clients. It is not easy, to put your story. There are emotions that are there. It's a process. And Linda, thank you for trusting me to help you through this process, because I know that it's hard, because when you start writing your story, you start, digging up all of those things sometimes that's buried. and the emotions start to come up because it starts to tug at you, and then it triggers you. So there at the beginning, there are the emotions, and then once you get it written, okay, whew, I'm done, I've got it written. And then you got to start marketing and letting people know, hey, I wrote a story. And then there are the questions. People start asking questions, and then that's another set of emotions. That's another phase of anxiety. And then you got past that, and then the book is out, it's ready, and it's time to start selling the book. Will people buy my book? Are people going to buy my book? But you are proven fact that they are buying the book, not because your bubbly personality, because your bubbly personality is just on point. Also because there are a lot of people who are searching, and this is true a love story. You're just beautiful. This is truly a love story. So again, thank you for trusting me through the process. And if you have a story, and I know that you do, because 100% of everybody living and dead has a story, I can help you take that story from a thought to a realization, no matter where you are in your story writing journey. You have a story, don't know how to get started, I can help you. You have started writing your story and you find yourself stuck, I can help you get unstuck. You've started writing your story, you're done, and you're ready to publish that story. Send it to me. Let me read the story. Let my team read the story and provide feedback. And if your story is ready to be published at that time, we will publish it. We'll help you through the process as best we can. But trusting the process is important. And Linda, thank you so much for your support and for trusting. It was beautiful working with you, and just to see where you are, and the emotions are not over yet, because now you're connecting with people and you're getting your story out, and there are people who are asking you questions because their story is your story.
Right.
Your story is their story, but guess what, they won't write the book because they're afraid. However, this because of this, they know that they can heal, because now they've met somebody, Linda Kornegay, who is on the other side of daddy tears. And now they know that, you know what, she can do it, I can. So you are helping people to heal through this story, not just those who have not known their biological father, but for those who know their biological fathers
That's right.
and they can't connect with them, they can't reach them, or the biological father is in denial. It ain't my fault, I don't know it, those things. So I am so grateful that your mother-in-law planted the seed and encouraged you to share this story. And whew, man, Linda, we have 1 minute. So what do you have, a closing remark, a closing bit of encouragement in 1 minute?
The best thing that I can say is LaQuita Parks is a phenomenal publisher, author, and she has allowed me to share about LaQuita. Not only did she help me with my story, but I want her to help other people. So I'm sharing that nugget with other people. And the greatest thing about it is my story is a true love story based on life lessons, based on real life lessons. Um, you can share your story, but first and foremost, feel your story. Feel your story. Feel your story. It hurts sometimes. You're going to cry sometimes. You may get angry sometimes, but feel your story. Be your story. It is your story, and nobody can tell your story better than you.
Whew, you heard that. Okay. Nobody can tell your story better than you. Listen, no matter what you do, reach out to me. You can reach me at LaQuita at a failure to communicate.com, or that's my personal email. But you can also reach me at paprovpublishing.com, PAPROVI publishing.com. And listen, share your story. There's power in your story. And Linda, thank you so much for being here. It has been my pleasure to have you here. And listen, it has been a plump, pleasing pleasure, better than a triple decker peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's my
Thank you,
story,
LaQuita.
and I'm sticking to it.
Yum,
That's
yum.
my story, and I'm sticking to it. Until next time, we are here every Thursday. This is the power of your story. Be good, share your story, be your story. There's power in your story. Until next time, be blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, listen, we usually cut off by now, but look like we still got some time.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. So that this has really been great, Linda. It really has. I have people, and Trivia said I've been hearing about daddy tears all day, all week, and she's absolutely right. I have been talking about your story all week because it is a love story, and because there are so many people who are hurting. And guess what? Those issues are because of daddy issues.
Oh yeah. Oh
Daddy
yeah.
issues. It's amazing, how many things you can trace back to daddy issues. My father and I have a relationship now, a good relationship now, but I was very honest with him, and it took a while for me to do that. And the encouragement to be honest with my feelings with to my dad came from my stepmom.
Mhm.
And she said, you have to be honest with your feelings. So be honest with your
Right.
feelings, guys. Be honest with your feelings, and love yourself. Love yourself.
That's
All
right.
right. That's our time, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you.